Booktube, hey Vlogmas group out there as we battle away at our videos. This is my emergency backup video just in case with all the stuff that I do today I don't actually get to making one of my highly produced, smooth, well thought out videos like I usually produce. This was actually going to be a kind of a dog's breakfast episode of my Vlogmas. It's funny, I was thinking about, I'm going to do a kind of a read through of the Saturday Globe and Mail, a la kind of Steve Donoghue, of him going through the New York Times. The Globe and Mail is pretty thin pickings for that, especially since, Steve talks about the kind of the nougaty awesomeness, which is the New York Times book review at the center of their things. The Globe and Mail used to have a book review section, an actual pull out, it was like a little mini kind of sort of akin to what the New York book review is now. The Canadian version. I'm not going to jump up and down on us Canadians at the moment. Had that, but yeah, it does not appear to be. And indeed, the arts and book section at the very end of the art section, which had a lot of stuff on the Sopranos, for some reason, SopranoCon. There was what's now is the shadow of the book section, which was just a book guide, which was a book gift guide thing, which has, some stuff for the literary purist, which, had, stuff you can give to the literary purist, which was, stuff like Bowie's books, talking all about David Bowie's books, or actually one Alberto Manguel, a fellow a Canadian author, thinker, from other parts of the world as well. I'm not going to try and remember right now. I've quite enjoyed some of his books, kind of books on books before. Yeah, but it's like, so that was going to be a pretty sad thing in itself. Other than that, I just read in the news today online, because that's where I usually get. I rarely ever actually buy a newspaper. I bought the Saturday Globe and Mail thinking, I'll do this. It was like $6.50, and I could think of a lot better ways to spend $6.50 on what was pretty thin gruel. But yes, online, which is where I usually get most of my news, that or podcasts. I read that Rene Auberjonois had just died. He, if you are a fan of Benson, you know him. If you are a fan of Deep Space Nine, you know him as Odo. I know him actually as both. Other people might know him from, he was in the movie MASH or in McCabe and Mrs. Miller. I do really remember him from McCabe and Mrs. Miller for some reason. For some reason, probably because by that point I knew him as Odo and that guy from Benson, a 80s sitcom. Yeah, I really have a kind of a strong affection for him as a Star Trek geek, for his depiction of Odo, this very kind of gruff, kind of closed off, hard as nails, the security officer of Deep Space Nine. And he's one of these guys, he didn't get into politics. He was the security guy when the occupation forces of the Kardashians, the Kardashians. Oh, Star Trek was into Kardashians way before anyone else. But he's still the security chief now that the noble and democratic federation is there. But as he was a great alien character of he was very closed off. He was a shapeshifter, not a shapeshifter. This is kind of 90s CGI, so he could extend his body and slip through areas. Theoretically, if he'd had better control of his powers, he could have changed his shape, which comes into the series later on. But it was one of these wonderful things of he was this introvert, kind of gruff, very closed off person, but that he would go home at night and he would have to kind of let himself relax and rest in a pool that he had a bucket, Odo's bucket, which he would just go into his bucket as a pool of goo and just go, at the end of the day, which to me was the most wonderful kind of, that is good science fiction or fantasy, where you get that idea of you're a very closed off kind of gruff person during the day, but you go home and you relax into a bucket of goo at the end of each night. And indeed, as the series went on, you got to see a very kind of a soulful, almost kind of soppy side, maybe even a little too soppy side of Odo as it went along. I sort of liked him as hard as nails dude, with knowing that underneath all that stuff there was a sensitive soul. I'm not quite sure how I have that. Odo's character was somebody who was sort of abused as a starting being. He was held by a scientist and pushed relentlessly and tortured by a scientist who said, like, it was an interesting episode there where the scientist was like, well, you know what? I loved you. I really cared about you, Odo. It's like, I pushed you because I cared about you. And Odo's like, you freaking tortured me. But it's like, they actually kind of had that good thing of, it's like a parent going, no, I thought I was doing the right thing. And, that lovely thing of, you can think you're doing the right thing and still be, really messing up a person, which is just it's something that kind of touched my own experience, I guess I'd have to say. So yeah, that's the things that have been going on. Oh God, watch! I can chat for a little bit longer. There's apparently lineups at the post office where Zsa Zsa is picking up a package. I'm starting to read Cousin Pons. Listen to Cousin Pons, a really good recording so far of Cousin Pons. I'll have to check and see if it's the same narrator going forward. Usually we kind of switch from one narrator to another, and there can be you can get really great narrators and then suddenly drop down. So yeah, I'm listening to that. Again, with Balzac, it's definitely one of these things where a lot of the characters they can be reprehensible. Cousin Pons himself is somebody who he's a glutton. He's a glutton for art, and he's a glutton for food. And his gluttony for food is such that he will willingly humiliate himself, impose himself on people who treat him like crap because he'll get the food, which is like, so that's terrible. So it's going interestingly. We've got introduced to the Marvells. I think it's the Marvells, the lawyer family that he's imposing himself on, and who are treating him like crap. And it's like, oh God, it's him again. And you can see that they're kind of a nasty, grasping bourgeoisie, middle class. It's all about money, which is. Maybe this hits so close to home because really those are the people that have stayed in our society. Those are the people that control our society now. Those are the people who set the tone. The Kardashians indeed have taken over. And it's a materialistic society all around. So Merry Christmas, everybody. I think I'll leave my dog's breakfast here. I've nattered. This is a good backup video. More car talk. Or if I was more charming and could be more spinning of tales, this would be wool gathering. Definitely check out the king of the car talk, Charlie Heathcote, his channel, because that man, he can talk about nothing for 20 minutes and you are delighted and you are entertained. Are you not entertained? You are entertained. I am entertained. All right. So this is the backup video. If you get this, you know that I just either I figured I couldn't do anything better, or I just decided I'll put this up. And thus the discipline of Vlogmas continues. More videos later.